July, not spring, is the month that decides whether your hydrangeas will bloom next year. By the time you stand in front of a leafy but flowerless shrub next season, the real mistake may already be months behind you. Many gardeners treat hydrangea care as a spring and fall routine. They prune in autumn because the plant looks untidy. They fertilize in spring because the leaves seem pale. And when the foliage collapses during a hot afternoon, they immediately reach for the hose. But when those actions are applied to the wrong hydrangea at the wrong time, they can quietly erase an entire season of flowers before the buds are even visible. There is one fact that changes every hydrangea decision you make in July. It determines whether a single cut improves the shrub or removes 12 months of future blooms. Most gardeners never hear it at the garden center, the plant tag rarely explains it, and the person at the register may not know it either. That is where we begin. Before we go any further, tell me your state or USDA growing zone in the comments. July hydrangea care can look completely different depending on your climate and the variety you are growing. I read every comment, and your answers help shape future videos. Now let's start with the first and most important step. Identify your hydrangea before you touch a single healthy stem this summer. Step 1. Identify your hydrangea before you cut a single healthy stem. This is not a minor detail. It is the decision that determines whether your July work supports next year's flowers or delays them for an entire growing season. The reason is simple. Hydrangeas do not all bloom the same way. Every variety flowers on either old wood or new wood, and those two terms control the entire pruning calendar. Old wood hydrangeas form flower buds on stems that grew during the previous season. In practical terms, the branch growing on your plant this summer may already be preparing the buds that will open next year. Those buds are often invisible, which is why gardeners remove them without realizing it. If that stem is cut in July, August, September, or during fall cleanup, the plant may still look healthy. It can produce fresh leaves and vigorous shoots, but the flowering wood is gone. The shrub must spend another season rebuilding what was removed. The old wood group includes big leaf hydrangeas, especially the classic mophead and lace cap forms. Mountain hydrangeas, oak leaf hydrangeas, and climbing hydrangeas also belong in this category. If your shrub produces large, rounded clusters or flat, lacy blooms in blue, pink, purple, or white, there is a strong chance it flowers on old wood. New wood hydrangeas work differently. They produce flowers on stems grown during the current season. Panicle hydrangeas, recognized by their elongated cone-shaped flower clusters, belong to this group. Their blooms often begin white and gradually shift toward pink, rose, or deep burgundy as summer progresses. Smooth hydrangeas, including Annabelle and similar varieties with large white globe-shaped flowers, also bloom on new wood. These plants are normally pruned in late winter or early spring before active growth begins. They do not require major pruning in July, so they are not the most urgent plants on today's list. Do not rely only on flower color to identify the group. Instead, compare the bloom shape, leaf form, stem structure, plant label, and flowering habit before carefully reaching for your pruning shears. If you cannot identify your hydrangea with confidence, follow the safest possible July rule. Remove only branches that are dead, broken, or clearly diseased. Do not reshape the shrub. Do not shorten healthy stems. Do not remove structural growth simply because the plant looks too large. Wait until you know exactly which variety you have. One cautious season is far better than sacrificing an entire year of flowers. Now tell me in the comments, do you know whether your hydrangea blooms on old wood or new wood? If you know the variety in your state, share both. I read every response. Step 2. Complete any necessary pruning on old wood hydrangeas before July ends, or leave the plant alone until next year. For big leaf, lace cap, mountain, and oak leaf hydrangeas, this is the most time-sensitive task on the July calendar. These shrubs begin preparing next season's flower buds during late summer. The exact timing varies with climate, variety, and growing conditions, but in many gardens, the period from now through the end of July is the final safe opportunity for light corrective pruning. The key word is light. Begin by removing dead, broken, or damaged branches back to their point of origin. Next, look for stems that cross through the center of the shrub, rub against healthier wood, or block airflow. Those can be selectively removed. You may also take out a small number of the oldest, thickest stems at ground level, especially if they are producing weak growth or fewer flowers. If a branch has grown beyond the space available, shorten it carefully by cutting just above a healthy pair of leaves or buds. Stop there. This is not the time for renovation pruning, dramatic reshaping, or cutting the entire shrub back simply because it has become too large. On an old wood hydrangea, aggressive pruning now can remove the exact stems carrying next year's blooms. Use restraint as your guiding principle. Every cut should solve a clear problem. If a stem is healthy, well-positioned, and not causing damage, leave it in place. A good July pruning session may feel almost incomplete. That is usually a sign that you have done it correctly. The gardeners who lose next year's flowers are often the ones who step back, decide the shrub still looks too full, and return for another round of cutting. Do not confuse visible change with successful pruning. Your goal is not to make the plant look dramatically smaller today. Your goal is to preserve the productive wood that is already preparing tomorrow's flowers. If you have not subscribed yet, do it now. Each week, this channel shares practical plant knowledge that helps you avoid costly seasonal mistakes before they happen. Step 3. Water deeply, but do not assume every wilted hydrangea is thirsty. This is one of the most important midsummer lessons for hydrangea growers. On a 95-degree July afternoon, a large-leaved hydrangea may suddenly collapse, with leaves hanging downward as if the plant is severely dehydrated. But that dramatic appearance does not always mean the roots are short of water. Hydrangeas can temporarily lose leaf firmness during extreme heat. By allowing the leaves to droop, the plant reduces the surface area exposed to intense sunlight and limits moisture loss during the hottest part of the day. This is a normal heat response, not automatically a watering emergency. Before reaching for the hose, check the soil where the active roots are growing. Push your finger, a moisture probe, or a narrow garden tool 3 to 4 inches below the surface near the outer edge of the root zone. Surface soil can look dry, while deeper soil remains cool and moist. Then observe the plant again in the evening. If a hydrangea that wilted at 2 o'clock has recovered by 7, once temperatures have fallen, it was probably responding to heat rather than drought. Adding more water in that situation can leave the root zone constantly saturated and create a different set of problems. However, if the leaves remain limp after the day cools and the soil is dry several inches below the surface, the plant is genuinely water stressed. It needs a deep, slow soaking at the root zone. Deep watering means applying water gradually enough that it penetrates the soil instead of flowing across the surface. Aim the water around the base and beneath the canopy, not over the flowers and foliage. Continue long enough to moisten the soil approximately 8 to 10 inches deep, where many active hydrangea roots are concentrated. One thorough watering that reaches the full root zone is far more valuable than brief daily sprinkling. Shallow watering encourages roots to remain close to the surface, where heat and evaporation affect them fastest. Whenever possible, water early in the morning. Any moisture that reaches the leaves has time to dry during the day. Wet foliage left overnight remains in warm, humid conditions that encourage fungal disease. So remember, do not water based on appearance alone. Check the soil, watch how the plant responds after sunset, and give it water only when the root zone confirms that it is truly dry before you make the decision. Step 4. Refresh the mulch before the worst summer heat arrives, not after the damage has already begun. By July, the mulch applied in spring may no longer be providing the protection you think it is. Organic materials settle, compress, decompose, and wash away over time. A layer that looked generous in April can become thin and uneven by midsummer, leaving the root zone exposed just when temperatures are at their highest. Apply 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch across the full root area of each hydrangea. Good choices include shredded bark, wood chips, composted leaves, or chopped straw. Spread the material from near the base of the plant out toward the drip line, where the outermost branches end. A proper mulch layer performs 3 essential jobs at once. First, it keeps the soil cooler. During intense afternoon heat, covered soil can remain significantly cooler than bare ground, protecting shallow roots from rapid temperature swings. Second, mulch slows evaporation. That helps the soil retain moisture longer between waterings and reduces the stress caused by repeated drying. Third, it suppresses weeds that compete with hydrangeas for water and nutrients during the most demanding part of the growing season. But there is one rule you must follow. Never pile mulch directly against the stems or crown. Leave a clear gap of 2 to 3 inches around the base of the plant. Mulch pressed against living tissue traps moisture, reduces airflow, and creates favorable conditions for stem and crown rot. The surrounding soil benefits from insulation and moisture retention. The crown does not need to be buried. Refresh the mulch now before August heat intensifies. This simple task can stabilize root zone temperature, conserve water, and help your hydrangeas move through the second half of summer with far less overall stress. Step 5. Deadhead faded hydrangea flowers carefully and never cut farther down the stem than necessary. Removing spent blooms can make the shrub look cleaner, and on some repeat blooming varieties may encourage another flush later in the season. But on old wood hydrangeas, an overly deep cut can remove buds already developing for next year. Use a precise method. Follow the faded flower stem downward until you reach the first healthy pair of leaves directly beneath the spent bloom. Make your cut just above that leaf pair. Stop there. Do not cut below those leaves. Do not shorten the stem halfway down simply to make the plant look neater. The buds for next season may be forming along the upper portion of that stem, and once removed, they cannot be replaced in time for next year's display. Remember that deadheading is optional. Leaving old flowers on the plant does not harm the shrub. In fact, many hydrangea blooms become more attractive as they age, shifting through beautiful shades of green, dusty pink, burgundy, and antique tan. Some gardeners prefer these changing colors to fresh blooms. If you are uncertain about the variety, its pruning group, or the location of developing buds, leave the faded flowers in place. A cautious choice protects the plant and preserves your best chance of flowers next season. Step 6. Protect container-grown hydrangeas from heat that can damage them faster than plants growing in the ground. A hydrangea in a pot faces midsummer disadvantages. Limited soil volume heats quickly in full sun. Moisture can disappear within hours instead of days, and the root zone may reach dangerous temperatures before the leaves show severe stress. Check container hydrangeas every morning. Test the soil below the surface because the top layer dries first and may not reflect conditions around the roots. When the upper portion of the mix feels dry, water thoroughly until excess water flows from every drainage hole. Never allow the pot to stand in water. Constant saturation can reduce oxygen around the roots and increase the risk of rot. Container color and placement also matter. Dark pots absorb heat, while concrete, stone, and paved surfaces radiate warmth into the root zone. During consecutive days above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, this combination can injure roots even when the plant appears only moderately wilted. Move vulnerable containers temporarily to a location that receives morning sun and afternoon shade during extreme heat. This is not unnecessary caution. It can be the difference between a plant that recovers quickly and one that loses much of its root system while still looking alive above the soil. Step 7. Stop fertilizing hydrangeas in July and stop trying to change flowers that are already open. The first mistake is feeding a plant simply because it looks tired in midsummer. Hydrangeas do not need heavy fertilization during the hottest part of the season. Excess nitrogen pushes the plant to produce soft, leafy growth instead of directing energy toward flower formation. That tender growth is also more vulnerable to disease and may not harden properly before colder weather arrives. A hydrangea wilting in July does not need fertilizer. It needs an accurate diagnosis. If the soil is dry, water deeply. If the root zone is already moist, adding fertilizer can place even more stress on roots that are struggling with heat. The second mistake is attempting to change flower color during midsummer. In big leaf and mountain hydrangeas, the blue to pink range is influenced by soil pH and the availability of aluminum. But color adjustment is gradual. It develops through changes in the root zone over time, not through a quick treatment after flowers have opened. Adding large amounts of aluminum sulfate, lime, coffee grounds, or other amendments in July will not transform the current blooms. It may instead damage a heat-stressed root system. Test the soil first, make careful adjustments in fall or early spring, and give the plant time to respond naturally. Here is your July hydrangea checklist. First, identify whether your plant blooms on old wood or new wood before making any pruning decision. If it is an old wood variety, finish only light pruning before the end of July. If you cannot identify the variety, remove nothing except dead, broken, or diseased branches. Next, check soil moisture below the surface before watering. Afternoon drooping is often a temporary response to heat, not proof of drought. Water deeply at the root zone, preferably in the morning, only when the soil is genuinely dry, several inches down. Refresh the mulch to a depth of 2 to 3 inches across the root zone, but keep it away from the crown and stems. Deadhead faded flowers by cutting just above the first healthy pair of leaves beneath the bloom, or leave the flowers untouched if you are uncertain. Check container hydrangeas daily during hot weather. Protect them from afternoon sun, especially when dark pots are sitting on concrete or other heat-absorbing surfaces. Stop heavy fertilizing in midsummer, and do not try to change flower color after the blooms have opened. The most important task is still the first one. Know what you are growing before you cut it. Gardeners who enjoy dependable hydrangea flowers yearly are not always doing more. Often, they are simply avoiding one mistake, removing next season's flower buds during summer pruning. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell me your state or growing zone and the hydrangea variety you are growing. Your comments help shape the next video.